What's up, Buccaneer fans? We are on the campus of Charleston Southern, joined by the new head coach of the Charleston Southern basketball team, Coach Clarisse Garcia. I'm Anna Witte, and Coach, let's take it back from the beginning. When did you first get interested in the sport of basketball?
So I grew up just an avid sports fan. I'm from Colorado, so I was a Broncos fan. So I thought I was going to grow up and play football. But that obviously changed quickly. And so then anything they introduced to us in grade school, I wanted to play. But there was something about the game of basketball that I just fell in love with. And so you had to be in sixth grade to play on the grade school team. But in fifth grade, I was like, of course he's going to let me play. Why not? So I asked our coach, I said, hey, I think I'm good enough. My sister plays. I think I should be able to play. He said, you have to be in sixth grade. And I was like, dang it. So I actually got my start as a cheerleader. So I joined the cheerleading squad so that I could go to all the games. And I was the worst cheerleader because I'd be yelling at the refs. I would not be paying attention. I'd be just watching. And so after that experience, I was able to get into playing, and I absolutely fell in love with it.
So what did you learn from being a cheerleader on the sidelines about the sport of basketball?
I learned that I could contribute, and it's so funny because now that I am on the sidelines looking at it from that perspective, I didn't know that probably in that moment in my little cheerleading outfit, I was learning my coaching eye.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And being an encourager.
Right.
So.
And then you went to Villanova, played basketball there for 4 years.
Yes.
After that journey, when did you realize you wanted to become a basketball coach?
Well, super funny. So I was a broadcast journalism major. So I thought I was going to be you and doing this and talking to people in the sports world and doing sports casting. And I gung-ho was full steam ahead in that. And I had never considered coaching in college. I mean, I was broadcast journalism or bust. I was ESPN or bust. I was going to be the next Linda Cohn. Aaron Andrews didn't exist, and so I was going to be Aaron Andrews. But obviously, but God. And so when I graduated, I mean, you talk about every door shutting. I would send out audition DVD after audition DVD, and every door shut. And so eventually I got connected with the head coach at the University of Pittsburgh, Coach Bernardo. And she, at the time, had a best friend who had taken a Division II job. And she reached out and she said, hey, my best friend needs a grad assistant. I don't know if you have anything going on, but if you get in it and love it, you have your in coaching. And if you get in it and hate it, you at least have your master's paid for. And so I was a total opportunist. I said, I don't really see a loss in this. I think it's only a win-win situation. And so I did. On faith, I just stepped out and said, okay, I'm going to take it.
So you have had experience at so many different Power 5 schools as well. You come here from Auburn. What do you plan to take from those experiences here to Charleston Southern?
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways that is what built me into the coach I am right now for these girls. And, you know, I led a program when I was 25, and you are kind of like wet behind the ears and just raw and do things in a certain way. But having been at all those levels now, I'm just excited because from each of those programs, I'm taking a little bit that I learned. So, you know, at Auburn, we are very defensive minded. And so we are going to press and we're going to play fast. You know, from my days at Wake Forest, you know, Coach Jen, she obviously preached really great defense, but she also was very offensive minded and taught the girls to play fast and in motion. And so, yeah, so it was just really neat to know that at all these different places where God had me, I was learning things about managing a program from those leaders I was under.
Coming from basketball, playing the sport of basketball in college, then becoming a coach, what did you learn about the sport making that transition?
Well, not everyone goes into college thinking they're not going to be the star and score all the points and have their jersey retired. And so the competitor that I am, I was like, I'm going to beat everybody out for their spot and I'm going to be the best. Well, I tore my ACL first day of practice, freshman year of college. And so that sidelined me that whole year. And so I had to just sit and watch. And, you know, I had a good outlook on it because, I was saved young, and so I had been a Christian for a lot of years. So, you know, I could, with perspective of that, knowing that God was with me through everything, you know, I could take that knowledge and just watch the game and just say, okay, obviously I wouldn't have chosen to tear my ACL, but what I didn't realize it was doing was helping, again, my coaching eye.
Right.
And so being sidelined that year was really hard. But from my coach at Villanova, I mean, I learned how to scheme, how to let us play, how to make reads, not to be predictable. And so having that always in the back of my mind really kind of built my philosophy.
You just mentioned from Auburn you learned you want to press
Yes.
with this team defensively. You have talent that's coming back to Charleston Southern. You brought a little bit of your own talent. How do you utilize the talent that's already here, but also implement the style you want to play?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I have inherited an awesome group of young women, and I could not be more excited. And their excitement shows up every day in practice. Their energy is contagious. And so now we are just teaching them how to play fast. And like you said, we are going to press, we are going to get after it, and we're going to play fast. And we want to play unpredictable basketball. So, pretty positionless. And what's really neat about the group that already existed here is that they're built for that, but they didn't necessarily always do that. And so I just want to bring that out in them, and so that they have an opportunity to just make great decisions in real time and play in a pace that's different from a lot of ways that some of the schools in our league play. So with that, we had 8 returners who have been awesome. They've embraced me. They've embraced the culture. They're embracing the system. We had 4 signees coming in, 2 transfers and 2 freshmen, and then signed another player who was also a prep school student. She wanted to get into the Air Force, and then through God's grace, she was able to find her way to this place. So we're so excited about all of them.
You just mentioned embracing the culture.
Yeah.
Your hiring was announced on May 3rd, so
Yes.
you've only been here for a little over 2 months now.
Very short time.
What do you look for in your players, both on and off the court?
Yeah, absolutely. We just actually had this conversation, and it has been repetitive, about we have to outwork everybody. And this program has to be built on hard work because it can't be built on anything else. And so our mindset every day, there are banners hanging in there that show all the teams in the Big South, and we're saying, okay, who are we competing against today? I asked them the other day, I was like, we don't have a women's basketball banner in here with any Big South championships. Let's change that. And so when I first got the job, again, early May, I didn't officially start until June 1st. And so in that time, we were doing a lot of FaceTimes and team Zooms, because everybody does Zooms in COVID, right? So we picked that up like it was nothing.
Still now, too.
Still now. And so although it, wasn't the greatest because you're not with them in person, it was good because we were at least able to start dialoguing about the culture. And so because of all the individual conversations I had with them and how much they wanted to improve, how much they want to get to the top of the league, we came up as our team theme to have it as Climb the Ladder. And so I had asked them, I was like, in basketball, or in life, what do you do when you climb the ladder? And they're like, you take steps to get to the top, you get to the top. And I said, okay, in basketball, when you climb the ladder, what happens? And they're like, you just achieve. And I'm like, yes, you do. But I'm like, you cut down nets. And so we just have been reiterating that we are going to climb the ladder. And that's part of our standards. It's just that it's going to be built on hard work. We're going to get after it every day. We're going to be disciplined. And so just operating out of those standards so that we can climb and be at the top.
When new coaches come into programs, they always like to bring their own swag or style of coaching.
Yeah.
What do you have planned for your team when it comes to fun off the court?
Yeah, that's a great question. So just my core values as a human are faith, family, fun, and I can work hard and have fun. And if I'm not having fun, why are we doing it? And I think you can implement that in everything from practice to off. So we did, July 4th, one of the program supporters hosted our team for a cookout. And so we did this, their last name is Hetz, and with the Olympics coming up, we did Hetz Olympics. It was the inaugural Hetz Olympics. So we had different events from cornhole to horseshoe toss to disc throws to, I don't even know the other thing. But yeah, so anyway, we had all these stations, and so we got competitive, and so we made teams, and the coaches were involved. And so we just like to be able to show them that you can have fun together. And I think what's been so neat is they have done such a good job bonding on their own too. You know, they'll always come back and say, hey, we went to the beach this weekend, or hey, we did this together this weekend. So that's one thing for me is I will work harder than anybody, but I'll also have fun.
One thing that you did as soon as you got on campus, you took no time to do this, was hire 3 women to help you coach.
Yeah.
What was the process to hire those women to be a part of your team?
Oh, you talk about God just bringing in great people to be around these fine young women that are already here. It was very important for me to be surrounded by people that I know and trust. And starting with Stephanie, my associate head coach, I mean, I've known her for years, and we've just always had conversations just about basketball and life and being a Christian in this sport. And so I knew when I got any job, I would always reach out to her and try and bring her. And then Coach Ashley, I had recruited her players very hard because she was with a Nike team in Texas area, and we just began to build that relationship. And again, over time, people show you who they are. And when people show up as faithful and committed and loyal and just good people, it's hugely important. And then Jordan holds a special place in my heart because she was one of my players when I was a head coach at Palm Beach Atlantic. And so I coached her for 2 years. And so for me, it was very important to bring in a former player who had played for me as a head coach, just because she knows my system, she knows what I expect. And she's actually lived in the state a couple times, so she's been helping with local relationships and whatnot. And so, you know, when I'm in practice and looking out, or when we're on the road recruiting and I'm traveling with them, you know, I just smile because I'm like, man, God, you just teed it up for us. And for my players, it is so important for me that they are surrounded by great powerhouse women that they can look up to. And, you know, probably younger in my career. And again, I love that our sport has men in it. I love, you know, I've worked with some really great men, and it is not in any way a knock on men. But for this time, for this team, they need to see strong, dominant, awesome, powerhouse women.
Okay. And you named an associate head coach when you came here and coached Stephanie.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Yeah, I know. People always wonder, do titles matter? And she has earned it. And she has been in the profession for so long, and she's going to be a great head coach someday. And you always think, man, I hope I get to at least keep them for a while.
Right.
But she's going to be a great head coach someday. And so for her professionally, it just makes sense. You know, all of them are my right-hand women. And for her just to be able to have that role and take a step up in the profession, I wanted to provide that opportunity for her.
We're still at the end of July.
Yeah.
Players are still in school, in
They
summer
are.
school right now. Practice isn't looking the way it will look in preseason. So what does practice look like right now as you prep for preseason?
They have been intense. And that's funny you say that, because the other day, you know, we're putting in defense, we're putting in offense. And I told them, I said, listen, we put in offense, I think whatever day it was, on like Thursday or Friday. And I said, listen, I understand it's going to look a hot mess. You are 5 minutes into learning this offense. It is going to be full of errors and mistakes. But I said the only mistakes are if you aren't going hard and you aren't communicating. I said we can live with placement and all that right now until you learn it. But right now, if we're not going hard and we're not communicating, that's your mistake.
So how do you implement a new offense and a
Yeah.
new defense with a ton of new faces?
So we're building it up. So because we want to play fast, we do these things called blowout layups. And it's literally, I don't care who brings the ball up. Like, I want our post to be able to handle the ball. I want our guards to be able to sprint out if they get it. So everyone has to be able to dribble for at least 3 dribbles.
Okay.
All right. And then get it up the floor. So then we build up into it. So then you add 3 people, and then you add 5 people, and then you just rep it. And so we really are big in teaching and building, but then doing it game speed.
Right now, and as we look at preseason, that will be here before we know it.
So soon.
What questions are you looking to get answered?
Yeah, who are the competitors? Who are we going to be able to rely on? You know, for me, it feels like we're going to be able to go deep this year because of the way we're going to play and because of how they've all stepped up in practice. That's what I'm curious about, is who's going to be the ones, though, that are going to rise up and show up every day to be those ones that you're like, those are the ones we can count on.
How are you going to set small goals, long-term goals for your team as we approach a new season too?
Yeah, so pretty much every month we focus on the different things we want to accomplish. And so for us, you know, we want to be able to put the vision before them. So every day there's a focus. So for certain drills, it's like, okay, let's win this drill. For this time, we have to get this number. So for us, it's what is my task in the moment and how are we going to accomplish it? And then throughout the month, how far did we get? Everything in our practice is tracked. We track makes, we track wins, we track everything, and we post it. So they know who has a running tally of who's making shots, who's getting stops on defense, who are the winners. And so we are really big on showing that and progressing with that.
Before you came to Charleston Southern, you've had a lot of stops at different universities. Who are your mentors in this industry?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. God has, again, just put so many great people in my world. And from my head coach at Villanova, who's going to come down, he's retired now. He's going to come down and watch practices and then just give a critical eye to what he sees. My former boss at Auburn, she has been just such a great friend and mentor. I'll see her this week because she's helping out on the boys' side with AAU. And so I'll get to sit down and talk to her about some of the things that we've been doing defensively and get her input on that. And then my former head coach at Wake Forest, Jen Hoover, just an awesome friend and mentor as well. We're able to talk about anything from like culture to players to how you manage them. And then my first boss ever, Fern Labate, oh my goodness, she is awesome. Fun story about her, she and Robin Harmony, who's down at College of Charleston, work together. So when she comes up to visit her, we're all going to get together because we're under, Fern's umbrella of coaching, of her coaching tree. So she'll come up and give her points and all that. And for me, what's also important is to surround myself with people who aren't in the profession. And so God has really brought people to me. I don't have any family in the South. Somehow I have found myself in the South. God has placed me here. I'm having a blast, but I have no family. So I always say by blood or bond, God gives us people. And so in every place I've been, he's given me people that have been able to sharpen me. You know how iron sharpens iron. They're able to sharpen me just with my character, just different things that I'm trying to accomplish and hold me accountable for that.
And that's really cool that some of the mentors are you don't even have to call them now.
No, they're coming.
They're coming to you.
They're like
you.
Charleston.
Exactly. Who wouldn't want to be here? The beach, the sunshine, good weather year round.
Yeah, a beautiful campus to walk around, awesome gym. So yeah.
And for the fans and the people who are watching this and getting to know you, what's your message to them to invite them out to these games come season? Yeah,
show up for us. Seriously, show up because our girls work so hard day in and day out, and they need people to support them. And women's basketball sometimes gets, the second tier fans, but we just want you to show up and we want to meet you. We want you to engage with our team. We want you to know them personally. I don't know what COVID's going to allow us to do, but our big thing is we love signing autographs after or engaging with the fans after games. So show up. We want to hang out with you guys. Bring your friends.
Yeah. And you've been on the recruiting trail a lot this summer. You've barely been in town to experience Charleston. What is it like being on the recruiting trail with your new coaches and meeting so many different players?
I am loud and proud with my Bucky logo. I'm like, yes, we're Charleston Southern.
Yes.
And so, no, it has been so fun because people, I've been in the profession for, like 14, 15 years now. And so it's just been awesome with getting the support from all the AAU coaches that you build the relationships with, and they want to help. And the high school coaches, they want to help. And so they've all been contacting us, talking about, hey, recruit our players. But for me, when I walk in a gym, I get excited that I'm wearing Charleston Southern because it's a place that I love representing. It's a place that I know is a perfect fit for me. And I have no problem asking a kid if it's a perfect fit for them too. And us in the recruiting, all we're trying to do is help these kids find their perfect fit. And for a lot of them, you hope it's us, but I'm going to show them why it should be.
And Charleston is not a hard place to
sell. I know. I was at the beach because, again, you don't get out much, but I got over to the beach yesterday. So I was taking pictures and sending it to the recruits. And I'm like, you could be here.
Right. Put it on your Twitter, on your Instagram, so all the people can see what they're missing out if they don't come down here to Charleston. So
a big loss.
Right. Exactly. So you've only been here a short amount of time, but what have you enjoyed about living in Charleston, being in South Carolina?
I think all the different options as far as food, oh my goodness. You talk about being able to do seafood, Thai food, sushi, just anything. We always joke that our staff were such foodies because we love, we just love, our palates just love good food. And so we have landed in a place where you can experience a lot of good food. So I have enjoyed that. I've enjoyed just being able to drive around downtown, get over to the beach. The school where I was last a head coach was also a small Christian school, basically at the beach. And so I've always missed that place in a lot of ways. So I'm just grateful that God put me back in a setting like that again, that I am close to seafood and, the beach and all that. So.
Well, Coach, it's been so great to sit down and chat with you. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah. Best of luck. I look forward to seeing you out there on the court here really soon.
So soon. And thank you for your time.